last word on the last?
Convincing. Convincing. Sorry, got to raise it a little bit. Okay, so then we're going to move on to number 2. Think about how much knowledge they have. Do the college students in this class, the aides and the teacher, have as much knowledge as everybody else? Probably not. We all have different points of view. Are we equally intelligent? I would say absolutely. Do we have the capacity to understand information? I would say absolutely. But when we write, we have to think about the information that other people have. Okay, so for instance, if you're writing a paper or an essay about a particular topic that's not widely known, okay, then what would you have to do? What would you have to include in that paper in order for people to understand your points? What do you think?
Research topic or what you're writing about?
Yeah. What would you have to include? What kind of things would you have to include in that?
Mainly history and
Definition.
Good. History, definition,
Factual data.
factual data, all these pieces come together to formulate ideas that support what your argument might be. Very well done. Good job.
It sounds like a hypothesis.
You're getting there. Consider whether or not they need convincing. Ah, here's the thing. If you're telling someone something, okay, then it's a lot easier if they already believe you. Isn't that true? Right? If they have some kind of knowledge ahead of time about the particular subject, or it's commonly known, it changes the way you write. So we have to consider whether or not they need convincing. It becomes an argument if you're trying to convince someone.
And if you're considering, if somebody needs convincing, like they said, you need something to back it up, like a reference or article or something like that, to actually give them the knowledge that you have to let them be aware of the subject.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Purpose. Let's look at our third thing. Okay? Purpose. Our third little set of notes here. And then we're going to take a little break. So how many of you guys are going to college to get an A or a passing grade? Raise your hand. Good. I think that everybody in here is going to college for that reason, because that's what the starting point of achievement in college looks like. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Oh, if I get an A or if I pass the class, then I move on to the next level, right?
Right.
If I study hard and I get that A, then the next level that I move into and go beyond will allow me to do the next step, which might be another job, it might be something, more money, it might be whatever those things might be, right? Career choices. Okay. Is there anybody in here who's actually going to college to learn something?
Yes.
Aha, good. All right, good. Now, when I say actually, because we do get very focused, sorry, Sam. We do get very focused on the learning to get an A thing. Whereas what we really should focus on is the information that's being conveyed to us in the class. That's a hard thing because it can be sometimes boring, it can be sometimes mundane, it can sometimes challenge us, and it's a lot easier to get distracted than it is to focus. I bring this up because the purpose of what it is you're doing shouldn't be centered around that goal-oriented ideology. In other words, you should think about more of the process to get to the end result as opposed to the end result. If you're writing a paper, what's our natural tendency? It's to look at the assignment and try to complete the assignment instead of focusing on the assignment itself. So when you go to write a paragraph, instead of thinking about finishing the paragraph and just writing down enough information to answer whatever the question was, we have to think about the actual purpose of our writing. That's a different way of thinking, guys. That's a way of thinking that a real writer, that a person who continues to do well in college classes, whether they're English-based or not, must achieve. It's to focus on your intention. So what is your intention in writing? Is it to get a grade from me? Absolutely. Is it to pass the class? Absolutely. But more so, it's to put yourself into what you're writing. Go back to what we said here in regards to our audience and even in regards to your subject. If you're not emotionally attached to it or passionate about that particular subject, it doesn't show up in your writing and you won't write well. And so that message that you're trying to convey doesn't come out. So your purpose is to think about what it is you want to accomplish with your writing, and then to start to think about the reasons for writing. We're going to talk about different types of writing. Explanation, argument, right? All of these are descriptive writing, personal accounts. These are all different types of writing. So you have to know which one that you're doing before you do it. And we're going to discuss that right when you come back from the break. So let's take about, I don't know, let's say till 12:05. And then when you come back, we'll get to work on what we left off with last week, okay? So at 12:05, go to the restroom, get some air, Facebook, what you need to do. Pick up the kids.
Are we gonna work on this or?
We don't do that in my class.
Oh, so we have to do this after.
That's the ECC. Those are 2 hours in lab in the ECC.
When do you want to turn in the homework?
I will ask you for it after we go over and complete the
Absolutely,
thank you.
well, let me ask you about what you
And I believe that he, over here in the office, I think the one that I'm doing that, I'm gonna do
Go ahead.
the notes one time.
Go ahead, we'll talk
But I
about
wasn't,
it.
I was going to ask at the end of class, that's usually how I do it, and that way it remains anonymous. But as long as you're comfortable, then we can see who wants to do it.
Sure, we just need to make sure that it's clearly from, so that I can see it, yeah.
Okay, Maria, how are you with that?
Good, that's what I was gonna ask her, if she could read it, because Michael also wanted to help. So,
I don't mind,
Wanna
I
see
wouldn't mind seeing both, and, you know, seeing
deciphering?
both, and then, reading both to
okay,
see.
is, what she wanted was what was writing on the board? Is that what she wanted us to do?
Yeah, only what's on the board, if that's, the teacher said, that's, you know.
Just what's on the board,
Completely
correct?
happy with that.
That's fine. Just,
Okay.
I won't quiz you or test you on anything that I haven't written on the board and gone over.
That's good.
Yeah, that would be
Back,
fair.
thanks.
If she wants, Michael can do it also, just in
Third,
case
third,
letters.
thank you.
Yeah, I would like
Your
to
financial
go,
aid?
or have a backup,
Yeah.
because if someone's absent, what do you do?
Okay.
Yeah,
When he
so,
comes back, I'm just wondering, because they didn't give you the right financial
okay,
aid.
well, thank you so much.
You very well.
No, unfortunately, no idea.
Thank you for doing the notes.
No
Thank you,
problem.
Sandra.
But by the time I'm through doing what I'm doing.
You know, they have 30 minutes
So
parking
I
when you
said-
park.
oh, I do need to see
You're
it.
gonna
You
bill.
get a ticket. Yeah.
People think
Go
I'm
look
really
for it.
stupid, I guess.
Right.
Like, I read
No,
like
go
10
look
minutes.
first.
That's called embezzlement.
Make sure that you don't have a ticket.
Time.
Because that's what I used to do before. I used to like park in the 30 minutes
Not a
and
good
then I
thing.
break them, like run and go sleep. Oh, at least see there's no tickets.
Okay.
Because I don't,
Like, so half your financial aid is missing, and they say that's the right amount.
and come 5 minutes earlier.
No.
You gotta really consider the details out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I teach.
Your application, your information.
Washington, I told them already, I said Washington, and they're like, she's trying to talk us a little bit. They
Possible
just
monster.
how would you do it? I'm like, no, that ain't.
Okay.
There's a vocabulary called embezzlement.
So my intention is
There's gonna be a lot of
to learn, so,
some trouble.
yeah,
there.
not
Okay.
necessarily to focus on the grade.
Okay.
Okay? And then I need you to email me, and I'll give you the email address at the end of the day. and
I'll
I'm
have
gonna-
your email, I contact
Okay,
you all
good.
the time.
Oh, that's right, you already did that, yeah, so we're good on that. And then I'll just give you, I'll send you an email with all the information, but I need you to remind me.
Okay.
So just send me another email that says like, hey, it's me, I need this,
Okay.
okay?
My alarm went off to pick up the kids.
If you have to leave and come back.
Well, actually, they're all the way in Seaside.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just gonna leave it 10 minutes early. I won't yeah, I won't do my,
No, it's
Great.
fine. I just want to make sure that you, yeah, no, that's fine.
okay.
No problem. Hey, Sal, how are you?
It's between my 5 kids and apartment and
Okay. Need to go? That's fine. No problem. Can you want to write down my email address so that you can get the information for the class? Sure. Cool. It's MHOOPER, M is it Michael, at npc.edu.
That's the symbol.
Yeah, that's the A with the thing on
Yeah, you're used to that.
it. And npc.edu. Let me just make sure that they're here. I'm sorry for my confusion at the beginning of class. It took me a minute to kind of register. I was coming out of I have a 1A right before, and I'm still sort of in that mindset of teaching. And I want to do it.
How many classes do you have?
6 right now. Yeah, it's a lot.
How do you do it?
Trying to keep track of all this. I enjoy it, so that's kind of how I do it. I guess I like interacting with the people, and I think it's a useful thing to do with myself.
I have 4 and I'm done.
wasn't it just on the first day of school?
The first day of school, we just went over the syllabus, and there was a writing sample, and I could forward that to you if you would send me an email. Okay, and the syllabus had my email address. It was mhooper, MHOOPER @npc.edu. Okay, and I'll put that on the board in a little bit so that you can.
And I'll just say.
Just say, hey, it's me from 321 class at NPC. Make sure you mention the class and then just put, it's Leo, right? And just put, hey, it's Leo from 321 and please send me the first day of class materials. Thanks, and
Example, the BD and all that.
okay, let's look at it.
I did a couple of them on the right, but I got it.
Why don't you go Friday, because that's the only time when the schedule I have.
So,
Is it long, or is it almost the same as the,
wait, your last name?
Shima.
With an N?
Yeah.
Okay, so right now, Mark, you're not enrolled, which is fine. I can give you that. But
Well,
you're
this
gonna-
is the class, but it was listed on the Lisa Wilcox or something.
I think she was the one who was going to teach the class, and then I ended up taking it because she couldn't or something. I don't know what changed. Was it in this?
Yeah, it was in my
course catalog?
registration form.
This is the section though, and the number?
Yeah.
321, section 0405. Mark.
Should I go back to Vince and officially register on the list?
Yeah, why don't I give you, I'll give you an ad code, and then if he needs it.
Okay.
And that way,
What's the sister? Is she good? Is this her first time? Oh, I does it all the time. Is she comes up over there? You should go. I'm new. I'm new, and it's like I'm trying to follow the steps. It's crazy. It's nice, but it's like, I don't work out. Yeah, it's pretty good. You see all that people that are really good.
so let's start at the bottom, so just tell him if he needs it. The ad code would be 3090, 3090.
Alright.
Okay?
Yeah. I know. Oh, I don't feel nervous. That's when I go in front. Like right behind the.
So yeah, just see if he needs it, and if he doesn't need it, then you're good to go. But this is this the course, did you take an assessment and all that stuff already? To make sure that that this is where you need to be?
Yeah, he showed me the classroom last week, but I didn't catch it.
Okay, no problem. Good deal. Nice to have you in class and participating, it was good.
How do you go about getting the lab?
All the stress.
The lab, you have to register or you're automatically registered in the class once you get your ad code for this class. It's called 421, and you'll get that information, and then I will inform you at the end of the class how to go over to ECC, and I'll get you a lab card and we'll go. Okay, super easy. We'll do it. Oh, you leave early. So let me give you the ad code right now. And then what you need to do, Do you know where the library is? So when you leave, just go, or you don't have to do it today, but go down into the library after you add, and it's the bottom floor, and it's easy to see, and just tell them you're enrolled in 321 English, and that you're also enrolled in the 421 class, and then they'll set you up with the assignment.
Okay.
Okay, here's your ad code. Yeah. You don't need it? No, that's right, because you're still in, so you're good to go. You're enrolled in 421 already. You need the email, that's what it was. David, what's up?
Yeah, when I heard you mention Lisa Watson, apparently mine says Lisa also.
Yeah.
I'm enrolled in this. Am I enrolled in this one?
Yeah, you're in here, David.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just because she was the original instructor for the class. What kind of bike do you have? Let me ask you, what kind of bike do you have?
I don't know, oh, yeah.
No? We gotta work on that. I run a restoration.
Yeah.
If you,
I was close to getting one time in a raffle. You get it?
Yeah, hard to come by. You need to, I have a little side business that I run, restoration business for old vintage bikes and whatnot. Maybe I'll show you some pictures after class. At the end of the day, if you want to see them. I always come across barn finds.
I have a friend who's formerly a Hell's Angel biker.
Yeah. He probably got to come up.
No, I'm not finding one Hell's Angel.
No, I mean as far as finding a motorcycle goes.
Well, when I can afford it, then, plus I got to practice riding. And I remember one of my uncle's friends, he used to ride a Harley. The last time I saw him was after he got out of the hospital when he lost his leg. Growing up, wanting to ride a motorcycle, it was never my ambition until I saw Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, and then that changed it all for you.
Yeah, you didn't get a ticket?
Okay, I like that show.
Good,
All right.
because otherwise it's all over.
Back, one more minute. Okay, so let's see, just to get some business out of the way, and then we'll get back to what we were focused on last week. So we have there's two different things that we're studying in class. Basically, what we study is the writing process and then the technique of writing, okay? So technique of writing includes things like grammar and sentence structure and all the pieces that make up a good paragraph or a good essay, okay? The content portion of our class has to do with the way we look at subjects, the way we look at topics, and kind of what we did today. Okay, a little bit of what we did today. I'm excited for you guys to have a lot of different options to write about in my class because I'm a very, what they call, eclectic individual, someone who likes a lot of different types of things. So I try to give my students a more broad range in relationship to what they're writing. However, I do want your focus to be specific. So when I give you a lot of big topics, I want you to find a way to narrow that down, and we're going to talk about how to do that in this class. Why don't you guys get out your homework? Let's get out your homework. Let me ask you, how did the homework go for you guys? Yes.
Good.
That's okay. If you don't have it, we'll talk about it after class. Yeah, let's talk about it after class if you don't have it. How did it
That
go?
was confusing.
Confusing. Okay.
I guess I didn't really understand it.
So you and I had a nice email exchange over the weekend. Was that helpful in some way? A little bit.
Oh, just yeah.
Okay, good to know. This is how I learn.
Figure this out.
This is how I learn equally, is from you guys. So
Yeah,
I want to
I
make sure the class
finish it,
experience
but
is possible.
I definitely struggled with it.
Okay, that's fine. I'm a student of you as much as you are a student of me. Okay, so I want to make sure that this works for all of us. Go ahead, Brian. What was your statement?
It's funny, even though I knew the majority of what everything was, I would write it properly, a definition.
Ah.
It's different than knowing the definition.
Got it.
itself.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting, actually.
Okay.
And another thing is I think I wrote it too close together, my vocabulary words.
That's okay. That's okay.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
this is how it came out.
Don't worry, it's fine. If you did the assignment, that's what
But I
counts.
wrote next to it if it was a noun or a verb, and then I wrote the sentence.
Okay. I got it, that's okay, Ginger, it's totally fine, don't worry, don't worry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The instruction was to write the newspaper article in this journal, right?
You saw that, good. Okay. So let's visit the homework. It was the first homework you've had for me. Okay, let's talk about it briefly. And let me explain to you so that the next time you know exactly what I'm looking for. Fair enough? So I grade pretty easy on the first assignment when it comes to points because I know it's the first assignment. Okay, and I give you a little bit more of a difficult assignment because I want to see what you do with it. Okay, and that doesn't mean I'm trying to set you up to fail. What it is I'm trying to see how much you can decipher the information that I'm giving you and do a college level homework assignment, okay? So yes, the words are a little harder. Some of them are words that you may or may not have seen before. And the directions are not as specific as they could have been. I didn't outline it as specifically. But what I want to note is what was printed on your assignment. I have it in front of me, okay? And it said, please follow the listed directions. That's pretty straightforward. Then it says, identify the following words by the type of word. Noun, pronoun, adverb, adjective, etc. Okay? Was that easy to follow, that part?
Yes.
Okay, good. So because you go to a dictionary and what's the first thing it says?
Noun.
Noun, or part of speech, right?
Noun.
Right, the part of speech. Remember we talked about parts of speech last class period? Yeah, okay. And then the second part says, give the definition of each word. How is that? Give the definition of each word.
The act of explaining.
I want to make sure that I have the same exact directions. Perfect. Perfect. That's great. Yeah, that's great. So when you guys gave a definition of the word, usually the definition in a dictionary online will follow the part of speech it is. Okay? So, for instance, if I were to write act, A-C-T, okay, that word, how many meanings do you think that that word has? Quite a few, right? Two of which I can think of right now. You guys have ever heard of an act in a play?
Yes.
Yeah? An act in a play, okay. An act in a play, that would be a noun. But if I said the word act, someone might say it's a verb, because there's always someone who can act. Isn't that true? Okay, so there's two definitions. So when you are asked to give a definition of a word, after identifying the part of speech, okay, is the definition going to match the part of speech? For instance, if the definition of to act is an action or taking action, doing something, then that's a verb, right? But if I were to say a part in a play, that would be a noun, right?
It's
An
a
act,
subject.
a noun. So they match, don't they? So when you have to give me a definition and a part of speech, they should match, shouldn't they? Okay, now, the third part of this asks you to use a word in the sentence that's reflective of its meaning. Now, what does that mean? That means that if you wrote the definition of the word act as a part in the play, and you wrote noun, because that's the connected part of speech, how are you going to use the word in a sentence? Reflective of its meaning. It's going to be what? It's going to be a part in the play, isn't it? Right? You're not going to use the word act as a verb. You're going to use it as a noun, right? So your sentence would say something along the lines of, the act in the play stopped the audience in its tracks, or made people sit up straight. Okay, something, it did something. It was exciting is a very basic way to say it. Do you follow what I'm saying here? So the noun, the word's definition, and the way you use it in the sentence, you should try to make those all match. Does that help clarify a little bit what the instructions for vocabulary are?
Loud and clear.
You would use the noun of person, place of thing.
Well, see, now I want to be very...
We're getting subject now.
Right, right.
The subject, okay.
And I want to be conscientious of the fact that some people in the room did send emails over the weekend. There were a number of people who were a little confused, and I wanted to clarify that. So as long as everyone's clear in here, and if you're not, we could always talk about, it seems like the majority is clear, so we can always talk about it a little bit more at the end of the class, okay? So let's look at our words together and see how we did with our definitions. So what about the word explanation? Raise your hands, please, and speak out loud. Thank you for volunteering. Participation matters.
Explanation, noun, the act of interpreting an action or giving a description.
Okay, the act of interpreting or giving a description, right? So an explanation is a noun. So I give those a lot during the day, right? As a teacher, do you guys give a lot of those? Give me an example of an explanation that you give. You, sir. What's you? Nobody behind you. What is your name?
Charles.
Charles. Charles, tell me what. Give me an example of an explanation.
I'm trying to give you an explanation of why I'm trying to give you the meaning of explanation.
Ah, very tricky. He's explaining with an explanation why he's giving an explanation. That's good. How about let's use the word a little bit more definitively. How do we define the word explanation in a sentence? Who has a good sentence? Ginger?
The explanation of me having 2 children is that I wanted a family.
Okay, perfect. Sandra, yours?
The explanation of this definition is the act or process of explaining.
Okay, excellent. That's fine. That's a sentence using the word, and that's what we were looking for in the homework.
Yeah, the sentence I actually don't have. That was my definition.
Oh, I thought you were using it as a sentence.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I made up, I said, so I have been explaining to my family who I am.
Great. You use the word, the root of the word, explanation, which is to explain, the act of explaining. It's the verb to write a sentence. And that's fine. That's close. That's good. It still means that you understand the term. How about number 2, circumstance? Help me out.
Noun.
Noun, circumstance. Go ahead, Brian. Would you like to give your sentence for circumstance and the definition?
A condition or fact that determines in the cause of an action.
Whoa, that sounds like a very confusing definition.
Long one.
Mm-hmm.
Under the circumstance due to the heavy rain, the baseball game counts.
Good. So a circumstance is really a moment in time, isn't it? A time. Yeah, a moment in time. And a circumstance is things that relate to it, doesn't it? Right? So when there's circumstances that you can't control, what does that mean? Oh, what does that word mean? When you put it into the... See, you can say it in a sentence 100 times over, but if you don't really know the meaning of the word, how is it that we understand the sentence? So when I say there are circumstances beyond our control, what does that actually mean?
You have no control over it.
Right, but I want to know what circumstance.
nature.
Let's raise our hands. Let's focus on raising our hands and trying to participate that way.
Modifying.
What's that?
I've got modifying.
Modifying.
Yeah.
Okay, so circumstances are things that change other situations, that change
Right.
the facts?
Yes.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, that's a great way to explain it. Good. Oh, using explanation. There we go.
It affects the situation.
It affects the situation. A circumstance affects. So again, modifying and it affects the situation. Good. The point here, thank you, Jenny, for raising your hand. Go ahead.
I put any happening or fact event.
Good. So it's the happening or the event
happening or
that
the fact.
affects or modifies something. Good. The importance of knowing a definition is because every word literally has meaning, and we have to use them properly. One of the bad habits that we get into as writers is using words incorrectly. If you use a word incorrectly in a sentence, people don't understand what you're trying to say. So we have to focus on using them correctly. How about number 3, subject? We learned this in class. Leo?
Subject is noun.
Is a noun? Good. Okay, that's the word itself can be used as a noun. We can also use it as a verb to subject someone to something. Go ahead.
Definition is the person or thing that is being discussed or described.
A person or thing that is being discussed or described. Good. So we know from our study in class last week that a subject of a sentence is the person or thing that's doing the action, right? Or is being described. Good. What was your sentence, Leo?
The subject matter became interesting when everyone participated.
The subject matter became interesting when everyone participated. Excellent. Excellent sentence. Good. Let's look at our next word. How about comprehend?
I have a quick question, I'm
Sure,
sorry.
Ginger.
When I was looking at it in the dictionary, it said an adjective for subject.
Okay.
So I had a different, it's
There
a different.
are multiple definitions and multiple
Because it
possibilities
said, for my
for...
definition, I can put under the authority or control of, or owing alliances to another, like the king spoke to his royal subjects. Is that be right?
So that sentence doesn't use the word as an adjective, but that's okay. You use the word properly in the sentence. and it does have multiple meanings, and there are potentials for you to use that particular word in lots of different ways. So I'm sure that what you got out of the dictionary is correct, and we can look at it together after, okay? Just to make sure that we're on the right track.
Okay.
David?
Comprehend.
Yes, sir.
It was a verb in the definition to understand the nature or meaning of something.
Good. And what was your sentence,
The
David?
sentence was, he did not comprehend the significance of the ambassador's remark.
Oh, very nice sentence. Very nice sentence. He did not comprehend the significance of the ambassador's remark. Good. So comprehension or comprehend means the act of understanding something, right? Okay, good, good. Notice that these words also have different words that connect to them. We call those synonyms, right? And we'll get into what that means later, but that means they're the same. They are a different word that means the same thing. So comprehension is understanding. They're the same thing, aren't they? Yeah. So interesting how we can get some more educated words, some bigger words to mean similar things that are normal, commonplace language that we express on a day-to-day basis. How about the next one, mixture? I'm sorry, determine. Determine. Yes, Saul.
To settle or decide, like dispute, questions, etc., by an authoritative or conclusive decision.
Good. So by determining the results of something, kind of to look at all of the things that are surrounding it and then make a determination to understand it, a decision. Good, good. Let's look at just the definitions now for a little bit longer, just because of the timing. I want to make sure we get to our next step. So mixture.
Yeah.
Mixture. Someone tell me what a mixture is.
It's a noun.
Brian, you're a cook.
You have to mixing and processing.
It is a noun.
It's any combination.
Any combination, anything. So a mixture, we naturally have a tendency, even I do, to say Brian is a cook. So Brian, remember he indicated that, so he knows what mixtures are. But mixtures can be anything, right? Any grouping put together, right? Good. You guys ever heard the slang term, get into the mix?
Yeah.
Okay. How about create? Create. Again, we want to raise our hands, please. Thank you, sir.
For my definition, I got bring something into existence.
Great. To bring something into existence. All of a sudden, create, the word to create, doesn't it seem to have more power now when you hear that definition? To bring something into existence. I mean, that's a pretty dramatic statement, isn't it? To create something? Yeah. I think it also indicates an impactful statement. It's more of an impact when you hear the definition. How about conclusion?
Yeah.
Brian?
To finalize.
To finalize.
To finish.
Okay, I would say that might be to conclude, right?
Yeah,
But a conclusion would be the end result,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Good. How about context? Maria, she's laughing. Was that a hard one for you?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about the
It's a noun,
context.
and it's the words that are used for the certain words, a phrase, and help to explain its meaning.
Okay, so now why would I include the word context in our vocabulary
Because that's what
definition?
we're learning.
That's right. Why, exactly. Nicely done. If you'll notice, who's starting to pick up on what these words all connect with, right? So we want to make sure that we are explaining things fully. We want to make sure that the circumstance we're in is great. We want to have a subject that we're going to write about. We want to make sure that we comprehend that subject. We want to determine what that subject means. We want that to be a mixture of lots of different things, the things I put up on the board. Remember that? And then all of a sudden we want to create something new that brings us to a conclusion about that subject, right? Now, it's kind of what's the word pester mean?
Annoying.
Right, it's kind of bothersome, isn't it, to try to write like this, because you have to think so much. You just usually sit down and write, don't you? Okay, and then what's this commute word? I threw that one in because I have a feeling some of you do it already. What's the word commute?
I did it for so long.
Maria, what's the word commute?
It's to travel regularly to and from a place, and especially between where you live and where you work.
That's very true. So physically commuting means driving back and forth.
But there's other meanings.
Yes, thank you. Tell me what that means.
To change.
To change.
Yes, I got
Like
that
they
one
can
too.
commute your sentence if you.
Thank you.
That's the word. That's what I was hoping you would pick up on this, because to change is how we shift our perspective in relationship to the work we're doing.
Right.
Nicely done. And then, how about the boundary? What about the boundary? Who has boundaries? Sebastian, do you have the boundary?
Yeah, something that indicates bounds or limits.
Or limits? Good. So whose job is it to determine where you feel most comfortable stopping? Whose job is that? Yeah, exactly. So you know your own boundaries, don't you? You know your own limits. The point of our class is to push you beyond those limits and try to write something that's not your normal writing. Okay? So for your homework assignment, I asked you guys to write this article piece, and we're not going to focus on that today. It's in your journals. I wanted to see what you did with it, and I wanted you to have a taste of what's happening in the world. And I will collect your journals next week, okay? So if you want to refine it and continue to work on it, the nice thing about journal homework is that most instances I will check it off, but I'm not going to do that today because it's the first time we're doing this. And I'll check it off in class to make sure you did it, and then you'll turn it in when you turn in your journals. So that gives you a little bit of an opportunity to refine your writing as you go through this semester.
I have
Okay?
a question.
Yes.
For your journal entry number 1 from the newspaper, was this supposed to be typed?
It could be handwritten in your journal.
It doesn't have to be, oh, you can handwrite?
It's fine if you want to turn it in, and I can give it
Because
back.
I already,
Great. That'll be
Okay.
fine.
So it was a bad idea to tear it out and say.
It's all right, Dan. So you guys, here's the thing about me, okay?
I got it. Everything's.
I want you to all hear this, okay? If you have an assignment, because we're in a pass, no pass situation, and because this class is point-based, okay, I'm very receptive to transitioning into being in a college environment, all right? Because that's what a lot of people are doing in this class, is transitioning into a college environment. So the first part of the semester, I'm not going to be as diligent or as hard on you, if you will, about these little details. So you can ease yourself, relax, have some de-stress from it, take a deep breath. It's all going to be fine. I understand where we are as a class, and I know that we need to move in a certain direction, and I know by the end of the class, you will all be very clear on all of these expectations and understand fully what's happening. Right now, it's only the first week, really. Last week was kind of limited, so we're okay. Just take a deep breath. Nobody's failing. If you handed a homework assignment incorrectly, it's not going to be the end of the world. If a vocabulary word doesn't match up the way you thought it should, it's okay. We're learning together.
I was thinking last week, so when do you give out homework? Is it a daily?
So you need to, again, you need to send me that email, and I will send you the syllabus, and I will give you all the answers to those questions. So let me have the homeworks that you have, whether they be typed, handwritten. I don't want your journals. All I want is the vocabulary. And if you happen to type the assignment and you stapled it together, you can hand that into. I'll take a look at it. It's fine. Okay? So whatever you have, please pass forward. I'll take a look at it, just not your journals. Okay? Not collecting your journals.
I have another question. Do we have to maybe rewrite it in our journal
Make
or
sure
no?
it's on all the papers.
I don't have to
No, you
rewrite
do
it?
not.
Okay.
Do you have a?
This looks more nicer, professional, like, you know.
Oh.
If these notes
It's a very nice.
I don't have a stapler, sir. You can put your name on all the top and put it together.
You want a stapler? I got a stapler.
Thanks, Tom.
Who needs a stapler?
Sure, absolutely. Let me give you my email. Awesome.
I don't need that. Thank you.
Actually, I can actually email it to her right now.
Okay.
16,
That it? Do I have any more coming?
No, yes, we do.
Consider it wrong. All right.
Thank you so much.
Tell her it's coming down right now.
So we have, I'm going to give you guys an option. We can play a game, or we can work on grammar.
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 Let's play a game. Let's play a game.
Bob, is this grammar with the
This is not a game with grammar, no. So we did grammar last week on Wednesday. Remember? We talked about nouns, we talked about subjects, right? And we're going to continue to do that. You guys are working in your ECC lab on prepositions right now. So I don't want you to get too far behind in what we're studying in class in relationship to what you're doing in the ECC. But since we missed a class this week, I'm okay with Monday you doing your grammar, because right now we've kind of already started the process of our game. You guys ever play telephone?
Is that where you tell somebody?
You never played telephone?
I forgot how to play it.
Is that where you talk to someone and then they tell your information?
Right, and what happens at the end of the story?
The whole story is out of whack.
Right, usually in the game telephone, I give you guys a sentence, right? Like when you were kids, you played if you played telephone, you would say a sentence and then someone would try to say the same sentence all the way down and it would change. Usually change, right? You never get the same thing. My game telephone is a little different, okay? The way I play telephone is I give someone a word. And the way that the game works is that, let's say I say something like donut to you.
Chocolate.
Chocolate. That's the first thing that comes to mind?
Chocolate donut.
Oh, okay, chocolate donut. All right, that makes sense. So the first thing that comes to your mind is chocolate, and then, Brian, you're going to say chocolate to Ginger, and Ginger, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word chocolate?
Sprinkles.
Sprinkles. Now, but you don't know
Sprinkles is on the
donut.
chocolate.
You only know chocolate.
Oh,
You
okay, so
only-
it's changing from
Yeah.
the word to the word.
So I'm going to whisper a word into the ear of an unsuspecting student, and then that person is going to tell the next person the first word that comes to mind. First word. So if I said soup, you'd say, first word you say. First word comes to mind. Don't overthink it. Just the first thing that pops into your head.
Cooking.
Cooking. Okay? And then if he said cooking to you, whispers it in your ear. Don't get too close. Whispers it in your ear. First word. Quick.
Delicious.
Delicious. There you go. And then she says the word delicious in your ear.
Chocolate.
Chocolate. And then you say chocolate. What's the first word that comes to your mind when he says chocolate in your ear?
Candy.
Candy. So see how this game works? Whoa.
Uh-oh.
Sandra, I keep running into you. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's the desk arrangements are weird in here. Okay, here we go. So
I
so
know.
let's.
I had to try and fit ourselves in.
Oh, it's all good. We're good. So let's start over in the corner here, sir, because you look focused on that computer there. All right, you ready? What happened? Oh no! You can't play the game, man. I'm going to say a word, and then you're going to tell the person next to you the word that first comes to mind. So if I said donut, you'd say cop. Oh, that's just mean. Okay, you ready? But you got to whisper it.
Oh, do we have to whisper to the other person?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I missed that part.
Yeah. You gotta get close. You gotta get within breathing distance. I hope that you're okay with that. Okay, thanks all. You ready? Sure? Okay, I gotta think about the word. Okay, here's the first. He's nervous now. Okay. First word that comes to mind when I say a word. Okay? First word. First word, quick, you gotta do it fast. First word that comes to mind. Keep going. All the way around. Come on.
I forgot somebody.
Yeah, but they're going down.
Don't say it out loud either. I know you want to say it out loud. Keep going.
Can you put it down for me? I can. Sorry.
Too slow. He's just, you know what it is? He's trying to buy time. He's buying time.
Okay.
The first word that comes to mind. Quick, tell him to whisper it. Just whisper it in his ear. The first word that comes to mind. You're thinking about it too much.
I'm waiting for one to come. Could it be? Like,
It doesn't matter. Go ahead. First word that comes to
Could it
mind.
be a word that includes the word she gave me, like?
However you want to do it. First word that comes to mind. Come on, Sebastian.
I can't.
Tell it to David.
I can't think of it.
Oh, I'm sure you can come up with one word that connects to it somehow. First word that comes to mind, David. Here, you tell me, I'll help you. Here, I'm going to come over here. Alright, this game is going way too slow.
I want to chocolate donut.
So, word that he came up with, I'm going to pass it on for you. First word that comes to mind. First word that comes to mind. I'm not going to allow you guys on my playground if you can't get this game going. Come on. Come on. Did you get it? Oh, it's still going around. Okay, here we go. Quickest word that goes around. It has to be appropriate. Brian, come on, come on, come on. That's okay, Brian. Come on. Don't worry about it. Just first word. You didn't hear it? What is it? Okay, you brought it. Okay, so she said. Okay, there we go. Keep going. So pass it to her and then she can tell.
Who's next?
This guy right here never.
Oh, yeah.
This guy right here. And you guys.
Mark needs it. First word that comes to mind.
You have to go now.
Oh man, you guys are thinking about it a lot.